We don't do it. We leave our clocks alone.
They feel that it's going to change a lot of things, including, somebody said, I think it was Marco Rubio, said that this will help with childhood obesity as well.
Oh.
Because you have that extra hour
To eat.
in the afternoon.
You can eat early.
To be in the sunshine.
And often, right? Early and often. At any rate, Mr. Bernstein is on assignment tonight, and he's been doing some really fantastic work.
He's busy. He's busy. Well, we don't want to say what he's doing, but he's still coming out with a lot of content on joshbernsteinuncensored.com. So check it out there. In fact, he talked about something last week that now is coming to the mainstream media. He's way ahead of the game all the time.
Well, we're gonna do something. We wanted to do it Monday night, but we didn't have that opportunity because we had one heck of a show. We had a couple of the gals here that are running for political office. That was Sherry Zafar.
Sherry Saphir, yes, she's running for superintendent of public instruction. Right.
And we spent a lot of time with her.
Yeah.
And then of course we had the young lady
Pamela Carter.
Pamela Carter running for the
Scottsdale City Council.
City Council. Easy for you to say. At any rate, we just really got into this with these gals. So we wanted to talk about a couple of things last Monday that we're going to talk about tonight, and we're going to talk a little bit about the cost of living rate.
And you know
what's
what?
happening.
This really, I mean, this is the Fighting Back show, so we really should be talking about it here because we need to fight back.
What's going on in America is crazy. So we're going to start with gasoline. Okay, so I've got some tips for you as to how to save money on gasoline for your car. One of them was to check your tires. Now, just don't look at them. Make sure they're filled with air.
Check your tire pressure, that's right.
And then reduce your speed. And that's hard to do in the desert because everything's so far apart. I mean, you got the next big city north of Phoenix is Flagstaff. What is it, 100?
Well, what happens is the hotter it gets, the heavier your right foot becomes. I don't know. They did a lot of research on that.
Yes, and the more you want to get into the mountains, the more it's cool.
Well, a lot of people have the 255 air conditioning, too.
Oh, yeah.
You know what that is, right?
I do. Why don't you tell our audience?
Well, a 255 air conditioning is you roll down two windows, you go 55, and that way you're not wasting gas on air conditioning.
That's right. You just blow all the hot air out of your car. Maybe the person you're sitting next to will blow out the window too, and it'll be nice and cool in there.
All right. How else do we save on gas?
The next thing is to avoid lots of starts and stops, and that's pretty simple. You know, a car in motion tends to stay in motion.
Now, Ron Lutters, you are not recommending that when a mother is dropping her children off for school is to just continue to roll the car and just kind of push them out.
That's why you roll the window down. You just there you are.
You're not recommending that. You're talking about speeding up to a light to stop and then putting on the gas.
Anticipate that the light's going to either turn red or green up ahead of you.
Right.
So don't speed to the next light and stop and then wait for it to turn green. So just when you see that the light may be turning, just let off the gas and coast right on up.
Yeah.
You'd be amazed at not only that, Ray, but you save on your brakes.
You do?
So you can save a lot of money.
How else can we save on gasoline?
Well, get rid of extra weight. So I would suggest that maybe I need to go on a diet. Maybe you do too, but you're already a vegetarian.
So what about carpooling, though?
Well,
Don't you add weight?
Carpool.
Don't you add weight when you carpool?
But the final thing is really important, Ray. This will really help save you on fuel.
Okay.
Do not vote for a Democrat.
Boy, and have we seen that lately? Just in the last year, what has it gone up?
Oh, my gosh.
How much, 40, 50%?
Oh, it's tremendous. Well, right now, I haven't checked out today, but it has gone up, probably 70%.
Well, in one day, it went up 40 cents. I know that.
Yeah.
I know that. And that's, but we're still at right around the 450 range.
And if you remember when Donald Trump was president, we were paying like $1.80 a gallon. That was just 2 or 3 years ago. And now all of a sudden it's like almost $5 a gallon.
Well, in California, it's well over $6 a gallon now.
And, whoa, that's one reason I don't go to California.
Now, you know, there was a question that came up. I was at a meeting the other day. Now, is the gasoline tax based on the amount that you pay for the gasoline or per gallon?
Per gallon.
So per gallon. So it doesn't matter if the gallon is $4 or $3 or $2. the tax remains the same because it's per gallon.
And what some of the states are doing are just saying, hey, we're going to give you a holiday where it's like 24 cents a gallon. We're going to give you that holiday. Now, that seems like it would really help people, but it's counterproductive. And here's the reason why. Because of the laws of supply and demand, when you lower the price, people want more of that, which makes the demand higher for it, which raises the price. Now, I'm hoping that all of you out there understand supply and demand. When something is scarce, it costs a lot. When something is plentiful, the price goes down. Vis-a-vis if you go to the store and you see during the tomato season, in
Right.
the wintertime for a nice beefy tomato, you're going to pay probably $1.29, $49, whatever. In the summer, when you might get the same tomato for like 79 cents.
Right. Well, that is the basics of economics, right?
Exactly.
Dr. Baltz, thank you. That was back in high school. He taught us that.
Appreciate that.
Supply and demand, Dr. Baltz. Thank you.
And that's that works around the country. What we're doing now with the Russians, and I think the thing we're doing really to cut off their supply of fuel, hopefully, to stop them from bombing women and children in the Ukraine. I'm not going to get into the politics as who's right and wrong, but I think every one of our listening audience would agree that bombing women, children, families, maternity wards, hospitals, and especially nuclear plants, power plants, is wrong.
Yeah,
Nobody can argue
absolutely.
that point.
I heard that over the last 4 days or so, the cost of crude oil by the barrel was about at 120, right around that range. But now it dropped considerably, and our president gets on and he says, "Look, those oil companies, they're trying to keep the price inflated." Well, the way that economics works is that what they're pumping today, they may have bought 3, 4, 5 weeks ago because it's got to be shipped and everything. So if there's a price reduction in 4 days, you're not going to see it at the pump because they've already bought that.
That's exactly
3,
right.
4, 5 weeks ago.
And oftentimes, oils are and they're called futures, where you kind of bet that what's going to happen in the marketplace.
Right.
That happens more with food, obviously. If you have in the fruited plain, as Rush would say, if you have good weather, proper amount of rain, no flooding, not a cold snap.
No freezes.
Not a cold snap in like April. The price of the food will stay low. If you have elements that destroys that food, and we have a finite amount of food, the price goes up.
Right.
And of course, who does that hurt? That hurts poor people.
Yeah.
But let's get back to this thing about the fuel, where you're given this tax benefit. The problem is it lowers the price, which then makes the demand once again higher. When the demand goes higher, the price has to go up because it's a finite resource at the moment.
But Ron, do you feel that there's things that we don't control in a normal marketplace, a supply and demand marketplace, where the amount of money that's being lent out, so, I go back to the Federal Reserve, right? Just today, they raised it by 1/4 point. You heard about that.
I did not, but I knew they were going to do
All
it.
right,
I didn't know it was today.
So what happens is that affects everything. So we borrowed trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. It flooded into the economy, right? But now we have to pay 1/4 point more. So how does that affect us and our debt ratio? Because now we're going to be spending more money for the money that was borrowed to pay for things that maybe weren't necessities and certainly weren't constitutional.
Let's take a little look at what money is. Money is a great equalizer. In the good old days, I would do some work for you, and you would pay me in some commodity that you felt and I felt was equal to my work.
A chicken, maybe a chicken.
A chicken or two, or
Yeah.
a dozen or two eggs,
maybe.
or whatever, you know. But unfortunately, when you go to buy, say, a new car, they really don't care about your chickens or your eggs. They would like money. So society has gotten together and they said, look, we're going to base our money on a standard, which was the gold standard,
Right.
gold and silver, and we're going to say this money is locked in at this price, and when I work for you, I work for $10, whatever, and that's what you pay me. Now, I have the great honor of going anywhere and saying, I've got $10 worth of labor that I put somewhere, and here it is, and you're going to get it. And I want my goods for that $10.
But what you're saying is this note, because money really isn't, there's no value to it. It's a Federal Reserve
Well,
note,
it is
right?
now, but let's
Yeah.
let's stay just for a minute with the gold and silver
Okay.
standard.
Well, what I was going to say was the gold backed the money. So if
Right.
you had $10,000 worth of gold sitting there, they printed $10,000 worth of money saying that the gold backs this money.
Yes.
Okay.
Now,
Now what do we have since
now-
Richard Nixon, right?
well, it was long before Richard Nixon. It was actually FDR that wanted to get off the gold standard. But one of the things that we had is back then the money was actually backed up, and the money actually said, this is payable in gold or silver.
Right. It's a silver
And
certificate,
the
gold certificate.
interesting thing,
Yeah.
folks, is that was personal property. It was your property.
Yeah.
I mean, we get into, you asked me yesterday about the 16th Amendment. You're right. It was the income tax.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden somebody's got their hand on your personal property, your money.
Well, they were never supposed to tax your time, your effort. That was never supposed to be taxed.
Right.
It was for goods and services.
Exactly. Tariffs.
Yeah, but it
essentially.
wasn't for you working. You weren't supposed to be taxed on what you made,
Exactly.
the fruit of your labor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, what happened during that time is FDR said, no more gold standard. We're going to set up the Federal Reserve Bank.
Now, the Federal Reserve is a federal institution, right?
No,
It's a reserve, though.
it's a private business, private company. It is not owned by the government.
It's not federal, and it's not a reserve. It's actually a private corporation.
It is.
That has investors.
And bank. It's a
It's
banking
banking
system,
families, yeah. That's what it is.
And
Nothing to do with the federal government.
right. So they went into that. Now,
Was that constitutional, by the way?
no,
It wasn't constitutional.
no.
Because Ron Paul, for years and years and years, said, let's audit the Fed, audit the Fed. He did get a tiny, tiny little audit and found out that TARP was supposed to be in the billions of dollars. How much was TARP was supposed to be?
I don't know.
And it turned out to be $16 trillion that went out in TARP.
Well, the situation here became one then. This is almost funny today, but our money was backed up by the Fed in the full confidence that the country had in the government, which is a joke because nobody has much confidence in the government today, and that's what makes our money really go crazy. Now they're talking about using crypto money, which.
Because that is more tangible than a paper note.
But the problem.
Wait, has anybody seen cryptocurrency? I mean, can you hold it?
Well, you got a piece of paper that says you could print it off your computer, and whoever's holding.
So it's printed on the computer.
Yeah, and
It's
say,
not
hey,
even-
you got 10,000 crypto, whatever they call them.
I don't know. I like to have something tangible.
Well,
I like,
the problem there is, money fluctuates. It does even under the gold standard, if you remember. And I know
well, wait, hold on. Let's rephrase that. Does the money fluctuate, or
the
or the
price of
value,
gold.
or the value of what you can buy fluctuate, or
Well,
both?
when you have gold, it's worth a certain amount of money, and it fluctuates.
Okay,
It's
so it could be worth
It's another market.
$1,300.
Today, and tomorrow it
ounce
could be
and-
$1,400.
Okay, all right.
And that's why you get a lot of people say, invest in gold, invest in gold. I don't believe investing in gold. I believe investing in calories. Now, that may sound really silly and stupid.
Calories?
Calories.
Because you'll be able to survive longer?
You cannot eat gold, believe me. So if you invest in calories, everyone in the world, I don't care whether you have gold or you don't have gold, you are vested in calories.
Now, you realize you're not going to be able to sell this to the Sports Illustrated swimsuit models,
I
right?
know,
You know
I
that.
I know.
Okay,
But
just
so
so you
what
know.
we have here with all of this funny thing with the cryptocurrency, somebody that wants to dial in something in a computer can make you a millionaire or a billionaire or a pauper, just the way they do.
You know, all they have to do is move the decimal point.
Yes,
That's it.
exactly. So at any rate, I wanted to talk about, here's one of the things that I saw. It says, I read this. This is pretty cool. The prices are high. This is gasoline prices.
Okay.
The prices are high because oil is in Texas and the dipsticks are all in Washington. That's a joke, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll
So
tell you,
at any rate,
to really understand what's happening with gasoline prices, the White House went to TikTok and their influencers and brought them into the White House and said, can you help us? Can you let the people know, the millions of viewers on your TikTok channel, can you let them know exactly what's going on? And you know what they did? They gave the exact talking points that Washington wanted them to say.
and who owns TikTok?
I think that's the CCP.
CCP.
Wow.
Which, in case you've been in a cave lately, the CCP is Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah, or as we say here, kakapu. Yeah.
We do?
Well, I don't know.
It's the first time I heard that. So at any rate, I wanted to talk about the marketplace per se and how one of the things that's going to happen. So I gave you some numbers before the show, Ray. The average family in America, this is a family of four. It's usually a husband, wife, and two children. Doesn't say what age the children are. Probably, if it's a teenager, it's probably more than what I'm going to tell you. Right now, the cost of living has gone up $350 a month. $350
Now, you
a
said
month.
that's not the cost of living. That was just food, you said.
Well, it's the cost of fuel, whatever it makes up the cost of living. It's
Okay,
fuel,
so
clothing, and food.
Okay, and utilities, and I'm sure all
Yes,
of that is
yeah.
great. So how much for $350
Times 12 months.
per month?
Per month. That means, ladies and gentlemen, that your cost of living for these commodities now is $4,200 more a year than it was this time a year ago. Now, let me say that again. That's $4,200 more. How many of you, raise your hand out there. Can you see anybody raising their hand?
I do.
How many of you have got a $4,200 increase in your salary from this time last year?
Well, you know what? Let's equate it this way. So what is the average income for somebody in the United States right now? What's the average?
I'm really not sure what the average
All right,
is.
let's
It
just
depends.
say
It really depends where you
50,000?
live. If you live in New York City, it's probably high.
But I mean average.
And if you
Would
live
it be
in
50,000,
rural
60,000?
Oklahoma, it's probably, well, I would say, I really don't know. I don't even want to
All right,
venture
just-
a guess, to be honest with you.
Yeah, just for argument's sake, let's say it's 50,000. And how much was the increase?
$4,200 a year.
So we're talking 8.5% increase.
And, by the way, if you live in Phoenix, Arizona, and its environs, it is the increase has been 10.9% in Arizona.
Lucky us.
Yeah, we're leading the country. Once again, Arizona's number one.
You know, I wish that they could just look past that wall that is Trump and look on the other side for all the things that he did that benefited people, because they can't see any of the good stuff over there. They find no benefit of being energy independent. They find no benefit in lowering the cost of goods and services. They find no benefit in increasing how much people are making. They find no benefit, even though it was good for the country, this wall that is President Trump, they can't see past that.
It's amazing. I wanted to go. I'm going to tell you a couple of my experiences, and then I want to let you. We're going to go with a little example as to what has happened here in the country.
Okay.
Ray, I love pastrami, and
And it
usually-
loves you too,
it
Ron.
loves me
Just
too.
so you know.
I love these Italian women. Pastrami. Any rate, it's a turkey pastrami, and I was able to get it at one of my local grocers, and I absolutely love it. And I usually pay just a little thing, because I don't need a ton of pastrami. And it was about $4 for $4.15, $4.25.
So you buy like a block and then you slice it?
Yeah, and I have a slicer, and I slice it up, make sandwiches out of it. And I went there the other day, and I couldn't find anything for about $4.18. everything was like $7. What happened? Well, I went through all of these things and I found some that they had not changed the price on yet. I was paying $3.17 a pound for this stuff. Now it's $4.98 a pound, just in a week.
Wow.
From 1 week to the next. Well, I did the math. That's a 60% increase in the price of that pastrami. 60%, Ray. 60%.
And you still want to invest in calories?
I do. Because if I can buy it at $3.17 and sell it for $4.98, I'm doing real well.
Good side business.
60%
Yeah.
Margin. So, same thing here. I like Pepsi Cola. As you know, I'm a junkie, Pepsi Cola junkie. They raised their price 50%.
50.
50%.
Wow.
And then the other one was, I love this tomato juice that I get. It's one of these spicy hot tomato juices.
Right.
And that thing went up 25%. Now, I'm not sure the tomato season is upon us very soon. And 25% increase when the product is coming into harvest, it seems like.
No, but this is canned, right? This is a canned
Well,
or
no, it's a plastic bottle.
plastic.
Yeah.
Right. So, but they buy such volume. But this is
Of
all
course.
from last season.
Of course. Now, let's take a look at that. Wow, look at the store behind us. Wow,
I know.
Yummy, yummy, yummy. Thank you, Doris. Would you grab some of that stuff on the shelf back there? It looks so good.
Price check on register 3. Price check on register 3.
Clean up. Somebody dropped a tomato. So what I decided, I used to get bread, white bread, for $1 a loaf. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. This is going to be an example of, and I'm not going to say because bread's not usually a pound, but I'm just going to say whatever it is.
All right, but I
is
know
a
you're an
pound.
accountant, so do this in layman's terms so
Okay.
that we can all understand.
Okay,
it.
so we're going to say, okay, the farmer raises the wheat.
Okay.
And it's costing him, well, that's what he wants to make, is $1. But here in Phoenix, I rounded to 10% because it's easier to work with than
Okay.
10.9%.
So you start with the raw goods. Farmer has the raw goods. He pays $1 for it.
And now he sells it.
Now
To-
he has to pay $1.10 for it, though, right?
Right.
Okay.
And then he sells it to the mill,
Okay. So
Okay.
the mill buys it at $1.10.
$1.10, and they add the 10%. So now it's $1.21 for the same commodity that before was at the dollar sign. Now, you've got the sales personnel that are selling the wheat to whomever wants to buy the wheat,
Okay. The bakers and
bakers and so
Yeah.
forth, and it's now $1.21. Add 10%, it's $1.33. Then you've got to transport this stuff. So it's $1.33 times 10%, $1.46. Distributor wants to make his 10%, so it's $1.61. Now the merchant gets involved, and he wants to make a little bit of a profit. So what started out as $1 is now $1.77, based on just this small increase.
So what you're saying is that 10% increase goes all along the chain. to
Everyone
go
that
from-
handles it increases it by
Right.
10%.
So from the farmer to the store, so our net,
Is like 60 or 70%.
yeah, so we're paying the 10% for everybody who touches the good or service that we're looking at.
Right.
Wow.
Now, this is a. I'm gonna show you a few things, folks, that you may or may not be aware of. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you is, we shouldn't do this on a family show, but
Why not?
that's a roll of toilet paper,
That's
right?
right.
Okay, this is what you got pre-inflation.
Well, this was pre-COVID too,
Yeah,
right?
this when COVID hit, I went out and I purchased over the internet. I purchased some TP, and this is what I got.
All right,
This
so
is,
take a look at this side by side. That's quite a difference. Wow.
but you pay the same for both of these. Okay.
Wow.
So now, one of the other things that I wanted to show you. This is typical paper towel. A lot of people use these in their kitchen.
Right.
And they used to have like 244 sheets in there, and you'd buy that. Who's counting? But now you'll buy the same thing, and it'll be like 170 sheets. So you're getting a lot less there.
For the same price.
Yeah. Now here's.
Be careful.
Excuse me. Roger will get that for me. This is one of my favorite little deals. I'm a real glutton, Ray, for using mushrooms in a lot of things that I cook.
Mushrooms.
Mushrooms. I love mushrooms.
Not the magic ones.
Not the magic one.
Okay.
But this is the container, and it's hard to see. But this is the container that these things used to come in. The
How many
mushrooms and that.
ounces does it say?
This would be, where's the ounces? I don't see it on here. I don't see it.
Okay, here.
It's on there, but I don't see it. Now, for the same price, this is what you get today. Can you all see this?
It's the same price. So look at the comparison. Wow.
Yeah, let's see if we can make that.
It's about
do you see that?
2/3, maybe 60 or 70% less for the same price.
Same price.
And these are mushrooms.
Yeah. And some people don't know, they say, oh, gee, especially guys, the wife says, go get some mushrooms. You go in there and say, here, this is what you usually get, isn't it? Well, no, I usually get the bigger package.
They don't have the bigger
Well,
package.
you sent me to the store with $2. I got $2 worth of mushrooms, but
Wow.
$2 worth of mushrooms are not the same. Now, what do we do about all this? There are things that you can do, and I'm going to give you a couple of ideas here. Would you hand me this other bottle here? Just put it a little out of my way here. There you go. Okay, this is a Pepsi bottle. Okay.
I noticed that it was empty.
It was empty. I drank all of that in one gulp, and this little bottle comes in handy because a lot of people don't know, but water is key to all life. All life needs water.
Yes, right?
And you never know when the water's going to get cut off in your house. And most people do not plan for it. So what I do, I take my little Pepsi bottle, I wash it out, and I take the label off, and I fill that with water. And I keep a lot of that for cooking, bathing, washing dishes, all types of it. As long as you have these bottles, it doesn't have to be Pepsi, it could be Coke, it could be anything. But ladies and gentlemen, save a lot of water. You need that. If anything happens to the water system here, you're going to have to be prepared. And this is something I just do religiously. I save water, and I have some big storage tanks. Actually, I have. Well, I won't tell you because people, if we start a drought, they're going to come to my house.
Well, especially, in the United States, we consume a lot of water. We just do. It's our daily ritual when we're brushing our teeth, and we take lots of showers, and we do that. Around the world, it's not like that.
I know what you're going to say
It's
because
not
when
like
I've
that.
traveled to Europe, you turn the water on, it's just a dribble.
Yeah, it's not existent. So we're very blessed, as we've said many times here on the show, that when you turn on the faucet, you know that you have quality water.
Water, it's clear,
but it's just not like that.
It's safe.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want the chlorine in it.
And
but
you don't
that's
have
your
to
choice.
haul it. In most countries, they have to go to one place and carry back, sometimes for miles, what they're going to use for the day.
And so, make sure you use water. Now, what are you going to do with the rest of it? A lot of people don't have a refrigerator that holds a lot, but there are some excellent prices on some canned goods. If you go to the right stores, the one that I like to shop at is Wimkin. Wimkin is
Isn't that an
employee-owned-
internet? Wimkin?
Wimco. I'm sorry.
Wimco,
Wimkin
okay,
is
'cause Wimkin-
one of our platforms that we.
I didn't know they sold canned goods.
No,
But
Wimco, but Ray, they sell a lot of stuff, and they'll have some sales on there. Just gear up on canned goods.
what you're saying is, be prepared.
Be prepared, but not only that, get there quick. Like I say, I was able to get a couple of these pastrami's that were still at a reasonable price. when I left, I had taken the ones that were
All right,
the
so they
inexpensive
obviously
ones.
they didn't get there quick enough.
And now, if I go there next week, thank God I got a couple of weeks worth at the cheaper price.
Now, do you ever hire people to go to different places too, so you get the best prices?
No, Wimco actually does that for you. They'll go to other stores and they'll have signs on there. If you go to Fry's, this is what it costs. If you go to Safeway, this is what it costs. If you go to Albertsons, this is what it costs.
So they
This
shop
is our
for
price.
you. Wow.
Comparative shop. And so what I would recommend is that all of you, as soon as you can, get out there and get some canned goods that, they're going to last.
Some
If you get-
survival food.
Right.
Right, yeah.
If you get some things like meat and that, it's going to depend on the quality of the electricity that's not being sent to your home. So, that'll,
How about a generator?
That'll save.
How about a
save-
generator? Do you think generators are
Well,
good?
I have generators, yes,
Okay.
and for that very reason.
So do you want to give your address now, just in
So
case something
everybody
happens?
comes in with,
Yeah, of
with their
course.
Second Amendment and says, stick them up, I want your generator and I want your pastrami.
Hey, where can we find pastrami? Hey, Ron Lutters has it.
So, at any rate, I'm telling you folks, be proactive, please. Go out there, get some stuff. Don't hoard things. I mean, if they don't do like I did. I bought the last two pastrami's, that were the cheap stuff. But I mean, they had plenty of.
But you
pastrami.
invest in calories, so
I
it's
invest in
that's your
calories.
MO.
So please do that. I mean, there's a lot of really fine products out there that are canned products. I mean, you've got beans and you've got sauces and you can get spaghetti. Of course, if you got spaghetti, you got to have the water because you're
All
not
right.
going to eat it.
Ron, listen, we got to have a snack. We got to take a break here.
Okay,
because
I
you
agree.
You need to get
Doris
something.
has my spaghetti cooking over there.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna. Wow, look at that. We went from the store.
It's another beautiful day
Now,
here.
yes, we're in North Phoenix. We're looking at South Mountain. It's over between Ray and myself. And, of course, we have our beautiful, where's over here? Saguaro Cactus and the city of Phoenix down below. And we're a little higher up where we're at. So if we do get a big rain, you guys down there are going to flood out. But
It's because it's the Valley of the Sun.
it's the Valley of the Sun. So, any rate, guys, you see us on the other side. We have more to come, and you're going to really we're going to have one of the premier attorneys in the state of Arizona is going to talk to us about something that our legislature did, and they did it wrong, and they're trying to correct it. So, we'll be right back. Don't go away. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. We're here with Ray Michaels, and we have a gentleman here, and we won't tell him what your occupation is because some people they think, "Oh my gosh, you can't believe that."
Hey, everybody likes their own lawyer.
I know, but you're not mine. But he's a great guy. There's a couple towns I think in Illinois or Wisconsin named after you.
Yeah,
Strauss.
well, I know there's one in Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
in the Pennsylvania Dutch country.
No, I was talking about the town of Roger.
Ah, oh, that I don't know.
No, this is Roger Strasberg, and he's an attorney here in town, and with a very wonderful law firm, and works with one of the people that we have on the show quite frequently. You work with Alexander.
Do you really?
Colden.
Alexander
Yeah.
Colden,
Yeah,
candidate for the legislature.
legislative district. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have him on quite a bit.
Yeah.
And he's told me that he wants to come on again because he's right in the middle of a campaign, as you know.
Yeah.
But ladies and gentlemen,
well.
we've had some things happen here in Arizona. We talked about it at length, Ray, and that is House Bill 2839.
You know what? Let's give a little bit of
Yes, I was
background.
gonna say,
All right.
Would you mind telling a little bit about this bill?
Of course, of course. So, our governmental system and our elected officials, it's really grassroots. So it starts in the neighborhoods. So the neighborhoods have precinct committeemen, or committee persons, committeemen. So what they do is they gather those into a precinct, which are different
Geographic-
communities. Yeah, they're
geographic
different
locations.
neighborhoods. And then those get together as a legislative district, and then they represent the people, and they give the information to the legislative district, which then gives it to the county and the state, and that's how we run. So it's very close. So we have these precinct committeemen, and it's based on how many registered voters you have for that precinct. So you may have 5 PCs in one precinct, and in the one next to it may have 20 PCs. It's based on how many registered for. One is for Republican, one is for Democrat. So they're both. It just depends on the population. Well, over the last year, both the Democrats and the Republicans have exponentially increased the amount of PCs to try to maximize the amount of coverage for the different neighborhoods
And
because
Ray-
of
and Ray,
everything
just-
that's been
just
going
tell
on.
them that these people are elected officials.
They're actually elected officials. You have to go door to door, get signatures, then you have to submit it to the county, and you go through a process, and you are actually an elected official.
And put on the ballot, and
You
people
are,
vote
yes,
for you.
yeah. So this is how it's been run for year after year after year. Well, just recently we've had redistricting, which means that legislative district may be part of another one. They're moving things around, and there's criteria to do this. It happens every 10 years. And once you get that done, there has to be certain things that need to take place prior to being able to split that legislative district up or forming the new one. And so the legislature received information from the Secretary of State that this has to be done. So they took this bill to try to rectify and put out in the best way that they could with the time limit, to put together a piece of legislation that would encompass that. Well, thrown in here that a lot of people didn't know was that it reduced the amount of precinct committeemen from being based on the registered voters to one precinct committeeman for that precinct. And it was in an uproar. Now, this piece of legislation, I think it's historically the first one that this has ever happened, but it was presented by the chairs. So you had the Speaker of the House, Rusty Bowers, and the President of the Senate, Karen Fann. They presented it. It was voted on. It was approved, taken to the governor's desk, and signed the same day. No
As
committees.
emergency legislation.
It was
as well.
emergency, and they suspended every bit of normal procedure that would take place for a bill like this. So everybody was in an uproar. Of course, all the PCs came out. They went into committees. Now they have time for committees. They said before they didn't have time. And this is just a big cluster because the left doesn't want to necessarily make this right unless the Republicans say, well, we're going to kill this bill, this bill, this bill. Otherwise, the Democrats aren't going to approve it. So it's just a big cluster. Have I pretty much gotten to the point on this?
Yeah, very accurate.
Okay, good.
And really, the bill falls most heavily upon the Republican Party, since the Republican Party relies more heavily upon grassroots, volunteers, that kind of thing, than the Democrats, who rely more upon national organizations and the funding that they support.
Now, it's my understanding, and I got information just today, that, let me just find this real quick. Okay, it said that SB 1720 passed in the Senate yesterday, and it did so with only a simple majority vote. And we thank Senator Sean Bowie for breaking this. He broke his caucus. Bowie. He was a Democrat. That's the knife. And so that passed. And then HB 2840 did pass out of House rules. So now it did go to the committee. It wasn't an emergency bill. And it did include a retroactive clause. Now, when legislation is passed, there's a normal 90 days that has to take place after the end of the legislative session.
Correct.
Is that correct? So anything that they vote on now, they have to end the legislative session and then wait another 90 days before it can come law. But that's a big mix-up, because right now is where the PCs need to file for the next year.
Correct.
So this is just a big cluster. Anyway, I hope I hope that this is accurate, what I just gave you, but it still hasn't been passed by both houses, and it hasn't been signed by the governor. So the Senate Bill 1720 did pass, but it didn't have the retroactive clause, which would take it back to March, right, the beginning of March. And it's still in committee, the House Rules Committee, in the state legislature.
Yeah, well, it's very good evidence of the legislative intent. The fact that there was, all the Republicans voted for the repeal of the legislation, that is good evidence showing the legislative intent was a mistake.
Now, Ron, we talked about this last week.
Yes, at
Did
length.
they vote for repeal of the entire legislation, or a portion that included the PCs, Section 4? Because it's my understanding all they're trying to do is correct Section 4 without correcting the entire bill, and we talked about it here,
We had
breaking
Archie
news.
Dickinson here.
Yeah.
This breaking news story that it within the bill itself is contradictory.
There-
It uses the dates of 2020, then back to 2022, then back to 2020, and
And there could be collateral damage in that when you pass a bill such as this, and you pass it in haste as they did, that other legislation that is on the books now, this may supersede working legislation unless it is specifically said this does not include this and this and this.
That's right.
So there could be collateral damage by passing this without committee, without thought, and rushing it through on an emergency basis, suspending all rules.
Right. And it is unconstitutional for a number of reasons.
But you have something in front of us. Tell us about this.
this
You
is
know-
exciting.
Yeah, the Arizona Republican Party, God bless them, and the Yavapai County Republican Party. A shout out to Lois Fruworth, the chairwoman of the County Republican Party, and Ann Roper, the secretary. Tremendous patriots, willing to step up and be plaintiffs with the state party, bringing in action against the election board for a declaration by the court that this is, for a number of reasons, unconstitutional. For
Now-
example, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, so does this affect the bill in its entirety or just a portion of the bill?
You know, the complaint focuses on just the portion that took away the electoral rights of the people to vote for their precinct committee persons and substituted appointed PCs.
I think,
That was the big constitutional flaw in this.
okay.
And you had sent me a email today saying that this is going to be heard in just a few weeks.
Yes, we have asked for a show cause hearing, why relief should not be granted. The judge in Prescott has set that for a hearing on the order on March 22nd. So it's coming up pretty quickly.
Why would they do that in Prescott rather than Maricopa County?
The case was filed where the plaintiffs reside. And since it's the County Republican Committee for Yavapai, the case was brought there.
I see. What's its prognostication on this? Does it look like, and I know judges have been known to make really awkward decisions sometimes, but
No,
it
really?
would appear that, no, you,
Not on
ladies
our-
and gentlemen, this
not on
man
our
has,
cases.
he has a lot of gray hair because of,
I earned every one of them too.
he
let me
earned
tell
every
you.
gray hair he's got.
Yeah, let me tell you. No, I think it's a very good suit. The claims are they are well written and they are well articulated. And I am very hopeful, no guarantees. That I'm very hopeful that this will be, the relief will be granted and the law will be set aside. And
So-
elected PCs can get back to doing all the hard work, door knocking, getting signatures, being a grassroots component of both parties. When you have more people involved on either side, it's just good for democracy.
Well, I would agree with that. Now, I've kind of, I got all my paperwork sitting on my desk up front, but I haven't gone out to do anything because now I don't want to waste my time knocking on doors if I don't stand a chance of going out and being elected as an official in the Sunnyside precinct.
It just takes 10 signatures.
I know, but I mean,
Maybe
I
20.
would still do it.
Just be
I would
sure.
still do
I'm
it,
down
Ron.
here more than 10 hours a day.
Right.
So if but there's, I try to sleep in between there.
Yeah?
And when I get home, because you don't get home till 9 or 10, and the neighbors really don't like me knocking on their doors, would you sign this?
Come on, Ron. I'm sure you have more than 10 friends.
Ron, if you
I
put on
don't.
your Cub
He does,
Scout,
doesn't
if
he?
you put on your Cub Scout uniform and you have the
When
wagon
you do
behind
radio, you don't have
they
any
will do it.
friends. Because we tell it like it is.
So the lawsuit is basically saying that the legislature and I want everybody to know I was there at the hearing, and Karen Fan profusely apologized for everybody involved in this, but we also had Maricopa County Chair came out and said, I didn't get a phone call on this. You didn't involve me. The state Republican Party said, we never got a call on this. The other county said, you didn't ask us. I mean, wouldn't you pick up the phone and say, hey, we're thinking about doing this? Everybody was a little shocked, almost deer in the headlights, saying, why wouldn't you come to us and ask us our opinion on this?
Yeah, it was a breakdown at a number of levels. Laws and sausages, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to watch them being made.
Yeah, it was just incredible. And to go through the process, I mean, when you're a legislator and you know that if you bring a bill up, that at least one committee is going to see it, right? We got, 12 committees? It's going to go somewhere for somebody to look it
That's
over.
12 standing committees. Can also be other special committees.
Right. But you know that, you know what, I'm going to at least get an option to be able to talk about this. They presented the bill. The president of the Senate, Karen Fann, she presented this. You would think that she'd be able to articulate, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it, these are the changes. And I understand that under normal circumstances, when a bill like this comes to the floor, that it is highlighted in a different color, any changes that may have been, that may be taken place
Yes.
due to regular legislation that's already been
Yes.
passed. But on this, for some reason, the blue ink went out in the machine.
You know, the parts of the legislation that amend code provisions, ARS, whatever.
Yes.
They are in contrasting color. Session law is not. And the part that affected the PC elections was in session law. And you know, it's interesting, it only applies to 2022. Just that election alone. And that is another problem with the law, that it discriminates unfairly against candidates in
That
the
are
20.
running
yeah.
in this upcoming election.
But not in the next one.
Yes.
Yes.
So did they give any reasoning of why they went this specific route?
Well, can you spell whoopsie?
Yeah, I'm sitting on the cushion right now.
No, I think it was, and really in their defense, they really have too many bills to consider and pass on, because, every legislator wants his or
Well,
her bill,
Roger,
no matter how many.
it's
Right.
interesting you said that. About a month ago, I had Representative Walt Blackman on.
Oh, yeah, good guy, yeah, very good.
And I said to him, how many bills do you anticipate? He says, we're probably going to have upwards of 2,000 bills. And to my astonishment, and I looked at it and I said, what on earth how could I have lived this long in Arizona without having 2,000 new laws to live under?
Yeah, and those are just the bills. I mean, each one is multiple pages. It's thousands of pages. Plus, you have Ledge Council. They write reports about what the bill says. That's more reading to do. I mean, it is a tremendous volume of paper. And, really, the function of the Senate is supposed to be the calm, deliberative body
Right.
to temper the House, which are the passionate House.
What's interesting,
And
you
the
say that.
volume just precludes them from exercising that constitutional function as well as they might otherwise want to.
It's interesting you say that. I've talked a little about this on the phone with you, and Ray and I happen to be members of a group. We do a breakfast. It was once a month. This year it's twice a month. And we were speaking to a senatorial candidate. We brought up the 17th Amendment, which is that the United States Senate at one time was elected by
Yes,
the legislature.
Appointed or selected by
and
the.
that now it's not, and that the whole thing changes, when they start in with this filibusters thing, and part of that, I think, is because the states no longer could control. And I understand the problem is that in the past that a lot of these senators didn't go to the Senate.
That all came in the progressive era in the
Yes.
early 19th century with the income tax, the Federal Reserve, and direct popular election of senators.
Right.
Yeah, 1913, I believe.
And
Yeah, that's right.
it was
Excellent.
1913, the 16th Amendment was the income tax. 15th, of course, was the blacks being allowed to vote. But one of the things that I have this problem with, and you and I have chatted a little bit, Ray and I have chatted a great deal about this on this show. We have some entities here. We have the federal government, House of Representatives and Senators. Then we have the state Senate, the state legislature. So we'll say Congress, legislature, and then we have the parties. Now, George Washington warned us about parties, but nevertheless, we have parties. Whether George was right or wrong, we have parties.
He also warned us about foreign entanglement.
Yes, he did.
Absolutely.
He was a wise man. Wish we could have listened to him a little more. But the bottom line on this, as was just spoken of, the state party didn't know this was going on. The county parties didn't know this was going on, because there's no communication, and the federal people should have been aware that this was going on in their state and have made some commitment to that, even though it's not within their purview. They are residents of the state, and they do happen to have a great deal of authority just because of who they are.
Right.
And I'm really of the opinion that, and I don't care what the Democrats do, but I really think the Republicans, the House, the legislature, the Congress, and the party, which, as we're all precinct committeemen, that we all get together and decide how we're going to govern our state. we get into this. I mean, I didn't become a precinct committeeman because I thought it was an important job so that my neighbors would look up to me. I did it because I have a certain philosophy of the way I think our state and our federal government ought to be run. And yet, the way this is, we don't have any voice. We have no voice whatsoever.
Well, one per precinct has the voice.
Yeah, but see,
The other thousands and
yeah, a
thousands
state
are
that has 7
locked up.
million people, and you have,
Right.
and you have, I don't know how many precincts we have in the state, but
Hundreds and hundreds.
yeah, but it's 7 million versus say there's 1,000.
You know what? You know what concerns me about this whole thing? As you know, I mean, hindsight is 20/20, but in retrospect, you had the leader of the body, the legislature. You had the leader of the Senate, and along the way, and then you had the governor, and all of this was expedited. I've never heard of anything happening in one day. Was the governor sitting at his desk waiting for this? I mean, if I was governor, I would be out and somebody would put a bill, say this is signed. I may not get to it right away, but for some reason, he was there waiting to sign it and make it happen. So all along the way, where are the checks and balances? Where's somebody saying, did we talk to anybody else about this? Did we even make a phone call? Did we do anything? Where's the checks and balances?
You know, alas, one of the checks and balances is the Constitution. Because in a case like this, because it was an emergency measure, it requires the same supermajority to repeal as it took to enact it. And that takes a lot of votes
That's
from
2/3,
both
is
sides.
it not?
Yes, and that takes both parties and to come together for the good of the state and the democracy at the grassroots.
Well, Roger,
And
it
that's
seems,
not happening.
it
Yeah.
seems like it's the old statement. We didn't have time to do it right, but we have time to do it over.
But you know what concerns me is that obviously we are more conservative here, but you have the more liberal people now saying, well, I might have voted it for it then, but I don't want to vote for it now unless I get what I want. It's put the Republican leadership in a very difficult position, because now are they going to negotiate some of the other important bills to be able to get this corrected, or are they going to hold out and see if it runs that course? I mean,
Horse trading.
boy, oh my gosh, this has been a big cluster, and I think that everybody now, in retrospect, will look back and say, this was a big cluster.
I hope it was a learning experience, to be honest with you. Some people, I think, may even end up losing their positions, although, we're in where the leadership will be moving right along, but
You know, I think to their credit, I've heard some of the legislators did stand up and take responsibility.
They did,
like
yes.
good Americans, and are doing everything they can to correct that mistake.
and that's a good
Yeah.
thing.
That is a good thing.
They're
I mean,
still in
this-
a bad position, though,
Yeah.
for making that decision. I
Yeah,
mean,
it-
they're in, listen, we've had on lots and lots of senators and representatives here that I'm sure voted for this, that are wonderful people, they're true patriots. This slipped by.
You know, you don't read one bill and look what happens, right?
Yeah.
All the thousands they do read, huh? That's just so ironic.
Yeah.
Maybe we have too much legislation.
I agree. Where's the limited government?
Well, there was a
Where's
time.
that?
There's no limit. Well,
There was a time back, maybe 7 years ago, where they only allowed each representative maximum of 3.
oh, 3 bills.
And I think, you know what? I think that would be good.
But
Is
no,
that-
but
is
no
that
page
to-
limit?
Is that
No,
is that to author or to jump on as well, as
that
to
they can
co-author?
author.
Okay, as a primary author.
I hear some music playing.
Yes.
Is that the, where are we at here? I can't see the clock, so.
Yes.
Is this the end? There's the light blinking.
Hey, thank you so much for
Hey,
coming
I
on.
enjoyed it. No, I
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
so what do we have to look forward to on this? We have a court date on what,
March 22nd?
March 20th? So it's coming up very quickly.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and
Now,
it's
will you-
after St. Patty's Day, so that's good.
Yeah, St. Patty's Day is what, Friday?
Tomorrow.
It's tomorrow? I was gonna say, we have our breakfast on, we have corned beef and eggs, for breakfast on Friday.
So you can commune with
So,
the saint.
and then what's
Yeah,
going to
good.
happen, is this going to be the final decision, or this is
leprechauns.
just the introductory and then it goes on for months and months?
Well, I hope that it will be the final decision.
will you be-
It doesn't have to be, though. It can be appealed.
Will you be the lead attorney on this?
You know, Alex Colladon, our candidate, you know, I think he'll be the lead attorney.
Give a plug for Alex while you're here.
Yeah, great lawyer. He should be, he's one of the top election lawyers in the state. And the legislature really needs a lawyer who can read these bills in a
And
lawyerly way.
He's running for House,
House
right?
LD3.
LD3, the new LD3.
Right.
And what's his website? Do you know? Is it Culloden for Arizona, or do you know what it is?
Yeah, Colladon for I'll Fight for You or something like that.
Look up Alex Culloden. I'm sure it's going to come up. But we
Kind of
should give him
sounds
a
like he's a
plug.
prize fighter.
yeah.
Now, did you see his?
You know, he went to school in Philadelphia, so he's a tough one, that.
He's a great guy.
Does he bring his new child to work at all, or no?
No.
I don't know how he gets.
haven't seen
I talked to him and I said, "How do you get enough sleep with all the things that you're doing?"
Well, you never met his mother.
No. Same.
Yeah, she is a force to be reckoned with.
Well, I'll tell you, the one thing about Alex, he can't talk without his hands. Have you noticed that? And he comes on the show and he'll look right at the camera and he starts banging on the table. And these mics pick it up.
Oh, really?
I'm always going, hold your hand down.
Well, we want to
Alex.
wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day, and you know what? Just add an O to your last name, and you can also be Irish.
Or a Mick. I'm Mick Lutters.
Mick Lutters?
Ron Mick Lutters.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to have corned beef and cabbage.
Oh, and when you talk in an Irish accent, all you do is make it go up and down, just like this. It's very melodious.
So we're going to have some corned beef. Thank you for watching tonight. We appreciate your services here. Please, when you see our commercials, would you please support these people? They do a lot to help us pay our rent and our dues here. So we'll see you next time next time is Monday, I guess. And
That's
we're-
right. And thanks for coming on.
Great-
We really
great talking
appreciate
to
it.
you guys
Yeah,
again. Always enjoy
come
it.
back and keep us informed on how this goes, please.
Well, and this isn't the only lawsuit, too. There's others for voting rights.
Wow.
Well, we want you to come back, so plan on right after the 22nd.
All right.
All right. And we'll have your lovely wife bring you here so you can prepare for the hard questions that Ray and I will be asking you.
Yeah, she'll tell me all the stuff I did wrong.
Okay, well, thank you for watching. This is a Hub Radio production, Fighting Back, and we will see you Monday night on Backstreet Gossip. Good night.